Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is December 3rd, and we're on page 12 in your magazines. And today we're going to learn about a bird that you may not be familiar with, but it is probably one of the first birds I ever became acquainted with when I was a kid in the States.
所以今天我们要谈的是一种鸟啊。那这种鸟呢，住台湾的人可能不是那么熟悉，但是 Karen 老师说这是他熟悉的第一种鸟啊。
One of them, anyway.
One of them.
And also, it's one that you see almost everywhere. Where I'm from, I come from a temperate climate. It gets really cold in the winter. And one of the first signs of spring that makes you excited when the snow is melting, the air smells wonderful. I think one thing that I really loved about Minnesota was when the snow started melting, because the snow melts, it releases a lot of scents into the air. It smells so good. And one of the other things about spring is you see your first robin.
所以这 Karen 老师说呢，他住的像明尼苏达州是属于温带气候，所以冬天非常的冷。所以春天来到的时候呢，首先就是雪融化的时候啊，那个空气会非常的好闻哈，这个各种很清香那种感觉哈。那第二个呢，就是春天到的时候，你会听到第一只知更鸟的这个叫声啊，那你就知道春天来了。
And usually it's not the song because I didn't really recognize the song so much as seeing their bright orange breast.
那也不见得是鸟的声音哈，因为声音可能不是那么明显，但是那个鸟呢，这个等一下我们看到它的胸膛呢是这个亮橘色哈，所以看到那个颜色哇，就知道春天来了。
And we get excited because we have such long winters. That was a sign that finally we were going to get warmer weather.
所以因为他们冬天很长又很冷啊，所以看到知更鸟的时候就会觉得总算春天来了，冬天过去了。
It was something we really got excited about, and we would tell our friends about it and discuss it when we went to school.
所以他们看到知更鸟的话，到了学校就会说，我今天看到知更鸟了，大家就会很兴奋，真的吗？等等等的呀。
That's right. Okay, and our title is, and Wesley's already given you a clue, is Fun Facts About Robins.
好，那我们的中文标题是圣诞节中的一抹橘知更鸟。
Okay, and it says Christmas time, but I don't associate it with Christmas at all. I associate it with March.
所以Karen 老师他长大的地方呢，知更鸟跟圣诞节比较没有那么直接的联系。他想到的知更鸟，想到的是3月春天来的时候。
Yeah, the weather will still be cold where I'm from, but at least it's started to get warmer. And another thing about robin you should keep in mind, it's quite a common given name, both for females and males.
好，那另外一个 robin 它也是一个很常用的一个名字哈。可能是男生，那女生也有这样的名字。
That's right. Okay, let's jump into our article. Our title again is Fun Facts About Robins. As the sun sets on a frigid winter afternoon, an unmistakable cheery song comprised of clear and rhythmic whistles fills the air. The culprit, a small bird with grayish-brown feathers and a bright orange chest, is a familiar fixture in both wooded areas and cityscapes in the wintertime. It is the robin, a little bird that is easily identifiable by even the most novice of bird watchers. Aside from the characteristic splash of color, robins are also distinguishable by their uniquely colored eggs. Robin eggs are a solid cyan color, which is a mix of blue and green. Robins make their homes in a range of different habitats. They can be found not only in marshes, fields, and forest borders, but also in someone's garden, backyard, or hedge. And although they can be found on every continent but one, they are more numerous in Europe and North America. Robins are so prominent in some places that they have obtained official bird status. In Britain, for example, it has been the national bird since 1960. In America, it has been declared the state bird of Connecticut, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Robins are known to have a bit of a sweet tooth and will often purposely seek out fruits, berries, sweet cakes, and pastry dough. They also have an interesting connection with Christmas. One legend dates back to Victorian times around the 19th century, when sending Christmas cards first became popular. Royal Mail postmen wore bright red uniforms, and this earned them the nickname of Robin or Redbreast. Pictures of the postman began appearing on Christmas cards and were eventually replaced by drawings of the charming brown and red bird instead. Okay, all about the robin. They've got some background about the robin's place in Britain and England, which I wasn't so familiar with before I read this piece. Our title again, Fun Facts About Robins. Now, this is kind of a common title format. Fun facts about. This has become something of a cliche that we use humorously now without the about part. We often just say, like in a Facebook post, when somebody's discussing something, fun fact, colon, 冒号. Fun fact, 就是说你有一点相关的知识，你跟大家分享，可能是一个很滑稽的一件事情。Fun fact, 冒号，然后就写你知道的事情。
所以这个现在fun facts， 因为 fun facts about something 常常被用来当做一个文章的标题啊。那现在有的时候在网络上面你会看到fun facts 有一个冒号啊，
用单数
用单数 fun fact 一个单数，然后呢就表示跟什么相关的知识。
Right. Okay. Our first sentence. As the sun sets on a frigid winter afternoon, an unmistakable cheery song comprised of clear and rhythmic whistles fills the air. Now, this is trying to paint a picture of nature just at the beginning to kind of set the scene. To set the scene for something means what?
你要提供一个背景。
一个布景 or whatever, right? So it gives you an idea of the place and what it's like before we talk about our main topic.
也可以说是提供一个场景把场景画出来。
场景 is good, yes.
好，所以他说当这个太阳呢 sets 就是日落那在什么时候日落呢？在一个 frigid winter afternoon frigid 就是 extremely cold 非常冷的意思那这个字有时候可以拿来当比喻用法，就表示冷淡的意思所以你说例如说 a frigid reaction to something to the proposal 或怎么样，就是对于这个提案或什么的一个很冷淡的反应那这个所以要注意它还有很多其他的意思，不过基本上都是同样的冷的那种感觉所以例如说你去人家家里面，你可能会有一个或者去某个地方，你会得到一个 a polite but frigid welcome.
Yeah, that's right. And it's very extreme. If it's frigid, that means they are really being 冷淡 in the extreme, because if it is just a little bit 冷淡, we'll say cool. So for example, she received a rather cool reception. That's not so serious. But she received a frigid reception. Wow, that's pretty rude.
非常那已经到了几乎到这个有点 rude 有点这个很不礼貌的地步了所以我们再回来看这里，那这里指的就是天气冷所以在一个冬天的很冷的冬天下午日落的时候呢，一个 unmistakable 就是很清楚的，你不会搞错的一个 cheery 就是心情很好的意思像你常常a cheery hello 有的人这个讲 hello 的时候就让你觉得他心情很好这样。
Good morning.
Yeah, that's cheery hello 然后呢，或者是 cheery colors 就是让你觉得很鲜艳的那种颜色看得很心情会很好的那种颜色。所以呢，一个你不可能搞错的一种这个很愉悦的歌声那这个歌怎么样？是 comprised of 前面省略的 which is 所以因为 comprise 这个是用法是 be comprised of 就是由什么组成。那这歌由什么组成呢？由 clear 在这里是清澈的意思还有 rhythmic 就是有节奏的 whistles 的哨音这样的组成的一首歌那个这个歌呢是 fills the air 就充满在空中或者是弥漫在空气中。
And one other thing, when that song sounds out when it's just going from winter to spring and the snow is melting, actually at that time it's quite dry. And the air where I'm from is so much drier than Taiwan. My watch will tell me the humidity, and it is almost always over 80%. It's often 93 or higher, sometimes 99. The humidity here is so high. So you're going to have to imagine something different. You have to experience it. It's usually very dry where I live. And when the air is dry, the sound carries much better, and it's crisper and louder.
所以呢像在国外像这个 Karen 老师他这个家乡的地方呢湿度比较低台湾的湿度很高那像在美国很多地方湿度是非常低的那它湿度低的地方呢声音听起来会格外的清脆，
很嘹亮
那种感觉
Okay. Our next sentence. The culprit, a small bird with grayish-brown feathers and a bright orange chest, is a familiar fixture in both wooded areas and cityscapes in the wintertime. Now, this sentence I would describe as 对气蛮重的 because it uses a lot of words that are not extremely common. I mean, they're not terribly uncommon. But the writer used a lot of less common words and quite 很具体的, they're quite concrete. So you've got a lot of images that you have to keep processing as you're reading this sentence. It's going to take a little effort. And the first question is the culprit. And the culprit means, in Chinese,
犯罪者
yeah, 罪魁祸首, the one who's responsible for something. And from the Chinese, you know it's usually negative. But sometimes we use it jokingly for something positive. The culprit is, why does the house smell so good? The culprit is that bread that's baking. 罪魁祸首, 把我吸引过来 because it smells so good. So we sometimes use it jokingly for something positive.
好，那这个句子一开头呢 culprit 这个字呢，就是刚刚 Karen 老师讲，就是罪魁祸首啊。那其实通常是用来指负面的东西啊，但在英文写作里面，有的时候我们会把它拿来讲一些这有点开玩笑那种感觉啊，把它用在一个比较正面的地方。像这个句子就是这样，或者是像刚刚 Karen 老师举那个例子啊，你说哇，这个屋子里面怎么这么香啊？然后原来罪魁祸首就是那刚刚烤出来的面包，开个玩笑这样子。好，所以大家记得这个地方的 culprit 有一点开玩笑。那我是建议各位你自己写的话，这个要小心啊，就是
Be careful, yeah.
对，因为你如果说前后文那个气氛没有营造出来的话，别人会看不出来你这个地方是在开玩笑，他会觉得你用错字了。
对，你是高手的话可以。Otherwise, just read this passively. Use it passively or understand it passively. Be careful about using it.
所以你懂就好哈，我们不鼓励你这样用哈。然后呢，接下来a small bird， 它那个同尾格告诉你这个罪魁祸首啊，所谓的罪魁祸首啊。那这样的鸟呢，它是有怎么样 grayish brown， 就是灰棕色的 feathers 羽毛。
Right, and they're more brown than gray. They are quite brown.
然后这Karen 老师是说它比较是 brown 哈，那比较不是灰的哈。那它的羽毛是这样，然后呢，它有一个 bright。就是鲜艳的意思 ，bright 用来指颜色，是指很亮、很鲜艳的意思。
And as I understand, it's the male who has a really bright red breast. The females are duller.
所以尤其这个公的鸟呢，要更鲜亮这样才能吸引母鸟的注意啊。那它有很明亮的这样的或者很鲜艳的 orange 橘色的 chest 胸膛。那这个鸟呢 is a familiar fixture 那 familiar 就是很熟悉的，那 fixture 呢就是固定的成员或者某个地方固定会存在的人或者是东西。
That's right. That is the extended meaning. It's a metaphor here, but a fixture is a 装置. For example, the sink and the bathtub in your bathroom, those are fixtures, or the light fixture, 灯座。
所以就你一定会看到，这里一定有的那在哪里呢 ？In both wooded areas, wooded 就是长满树木的 areas 这个地区那像我们常常讲 wooded hills 就是长满了树的山小山丘。
Just like you have all around Taipei.
台北到处都台北周围都是 wooded area 或者wooded hills 然后呢，所以在这个长满树木的地区，还有在cityscapes 就是城市的景色或城市一景a view of a city 所以在城市里面，在长满树木的地区都看得到，尤其是在怎么样 in the winter time 就是在冬天winter time 就是 the season of winter.
It is the robin, a little bird that is easily identifiable by even the most novice of bird watchers. Now, there are a couple things to watch out for in this sentence. Now, the first thing is the stress of the word identifiable. Now, normally we say that one word has only one main stress, like habitat. Habitat, the stress is on the first syllable. But this one really has three stresses. Identifiable. Identify, they're all stressed. Identifiable.
好，所以三个音节都有重音然后我们看到在这个鸟呢，就 it 就指这个鸟就是 the robin 那它是什么？它a little bird 这个它这里又讲了它是个小鸟，它没有那么小但他说这是一种鸟那 that is easily 很容易就 identifiable 就是可以被辨认的所以 easily identifiable 是常常在一起用的，就表示很容易就辨认出来的。好，那是谁能够很容易辨认出来呢？即使是 by even the most novice of bird watchers bird watchers 就是赏鸟的人那 novice 这个字呢是新手的意思，它是名词那因为是名词，所以它不能直接说 the most novice bird watchers 不可以这样子那你中间要加一个 of， 所以 the most novice of bird watchers 就是这个赏鸟者里面最新的新手都很容易就可以认出这个鸟。
Aside from the characteristic splash of color, robins are also distinguishable by their uniquely colored eggs. And Wesley will recall the line from a song that we even sang together once in public, having to do with robin's eggs.
Yeah, 那首歌是 Diamonds and Rust 啊，很好听的一首歌哈，它里面就那一句好像 As I remember your eyes were bluer than robin's eggs.
But you got to throw in the next line.
My poetry was lousy, you said. Yeah, my poetry was lousy, you said. 好，那很好的一首歌了哈。
Yeah.
那这个大家可以去看一看，那歌词也写得很好。
That's right.
Yeah, 好，然后呢，所以这个地方讲到说，他说 aside from 除了这个 characteristic 就是很独特的、典型的啊，或者可以用来让你区别的这种 splash of color。splash of color 啊，它其实就是 a small area of bright color， 就是一抹啊，就是一抹鲜艳的颜色啊。那所以呢，它因为就是它胸前的一抹鲜艳的颜色，你看了就知道很好区别。那除了这个之外呢 ，Robins 他们也是 ，they are also distinguished by 啊，他们也可以怎么样被你区分出来 ？distinguish 就是辨别啊，你怎么样可以辨别呢？你可以由他们的 uniquely colored， 就是颜色非常独特的这种它的蛋 ，yeah.
It's true, and I have to tell you that I remember from first grade.When somebody took a bunch of robin's eggs and then showed them to all of us in the class, 小学一年级. So this is something important in our culture, and that's why it turned up in Joan Baez's song.
Yeah.
From first grade, this is like part of our culture that you will pass on to your children. And I showed them to my students when we went over that song. 他们都惊叹, oh, look at that blue. You have to look at it yourself. Go online and check.Yeah,
好，所以它的颜色它非常的独特，非常的漂亮哈，是那种颜色你要看了才知道。Yeah.
Robin eggs are a solid cyan color, which is a mix of blue and green.
所以这个知更鸟的蛋呢是 solid， 就是纯的，非常纯的哈。这个 cyan 就是一种蓝绿色啊。然后呢，所以它后面也告诉你 ，which is a mix of， 就是它是混在一起，什么东西混在一起呢 ？Blue and green 混在一起。
Cyan may look like an uncommon word, but you need it if you're doing anything with graphics. Anything where you use color, if you're doing videos, cyan is one of the colors you work with.
哦，所以这很重要的一个颜色。
Robins make their homes in a range of different habitats.
好 ，make their homes 就是他们安家或者筑巢哈。In a range of 就是在一个范围之内各种各样的不同的这个 habitats 栖息地。
They can be found not only in marshes, fields, and forest borders, but also in someone's garden, backyard, or hedge.
好，那你可以在哪里找到呢？他们可以在哪里找到？你可以在哪个地方找到知更鸟呢？他们可以被看到的地方，也就是他们在哪里存在，在哪里生活呢？在 marshes 沼泽 ，fields 田野，然后 forest borders 就是这个森林的边界啊。But also 此外还可以在哪里看到啊？在某个人的 garden。它的花园里面 backyard 它的后院或者 hedge 就是树篱就是种得很密集的树丛，常常拿来当花园或者田野的边界，所以这些地方都看得到。
Right， 或是当一个围篱一样。
当一个围篱一样，树篱 yeah.
And although they can be found on every continent but one, they are more numerous in Europe and North America.
好，而且虽然你可以在到处在每一个大陆上面，每一个 continent 每一个大陆上都看得到，除了 except 这个 but 是 except 除了只有一个大陆没有知更鸟之外呢，他们是 more numerous in Europe， 他们在欧洲还有在北美是比较 numerous， 数量是比较多的。
Robins are so prominent in some places that they have obtained official bird status.
好，那他们是非常 prominent， 就是很重要的或者很显眼的，因为很显眼所以很重要啊。然后呢，在某一些地方重要到什么程度呢？他们已经获得了这个官方代表鸟这样的一个 status， 这样的一个地位。
In Britain, for example, it has been the national bird since 1960. And I knew that as a kid, and I thought, why did you pick such an ordinary bird? But it's because it's so common.
Yeah， 好，那在英国呢，在1960年的时候从1960年开始，它就已经是英国的 national bird 国鸟。
In America, it has been declared the state bird of Connecticut, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Watch out, it's not Connecticut, it's Connecticut. 那个第二个西部发音 Michigan, CH 念作是 Connecticut, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
好，所以呢，在美国呢，it has been declared the state bird， 就是它被宣布是州鸟是这个Connecticut 还有这个 Michigan 还有 Wisconsin 这三个州的州鸟。
Robins are known to have a bit of a sweet tooth. and will often purposely seek out fruits, berries, sweet cakes, and pastry dough. Why pastry dough? I won't have pastry dough around my house ever, but I guess a lot of Americans do.
Yeah, 所以呢，这个知更鸟 are known to 就大家都知道啊，它 have a bit of a sweet tooth， 表示它喜欢吃甜食啊 ，sweet tooth 就喜欢吃甜食。然后呢，它常常可以怎么样？他们常常会 purposely， 就是故意的、蓄意的啊，有意的去 seek out， 去仔细的去寻找 fruits 水果 berries 莓果或者这个 sweet cakes 就是甜蛋糕啊，或者是这个糕点的面团 pastry dough 豆就是面团。
They also have an interesting connection with Christmas.
他们也有一个很有趣的连接，跟什么连接呢？跟圣诞节有一个有趣的连接，有一个有趣的关系。
One legend dates back to Victorian times around the 19th century, when sending Christmas cards first became popular.
那有一个 legend， 有一个传说哈 dates back to 可以追溯到这个维多利亚时期，大概是19世纪的时候。在当时呢，这个 sending Christmas cards 就是寄圣诞卡 first became popular， 才刚刚开始成为一个很流行的事情。
Royal Mail postmen wore bright red uniforms, and this earned them the nickname of Robin or Redbreast, and we often call robins Robin Redbreast， 这样称呼他们。
那这个 legend 就什么呢？他说这个Royal Mail 就是皇家邮政，他们的这个 postman 的邮差呢，他们穿的是很鲜艳的红色的制服啊，那 this 因为他们穿着鲜艳的红色制服呢，就 earned them 就让他们赢得的 the nickname of 赢得的这样的一个昵称就是 Robin 或者是 Redbreast 这个红胸膛。
Pictures of the postman began appearing on Christmas cards and were eventually replaced by drawings of the charming brown and red bird instead.
好，那这个邮差他们的图片开始出现在圣诞卡上，而且呢 eventually 最后终于 were replaced by 被什么取代呢？被 drawings of 被什么的图画 drawings 就是图画是这个 charming 很迷人的很有魅力的 brown and red bird instead， 也就是这个最后邮差的图画呢，最后就被知更鸟所取代了。
And we have 4 short questions for you. Number 1, what does the culprit most likely mean in the first paragraph?
第一段里面 culprit 这个字最有可能的意思是什么呢？
The answer is D, the creature that is responsible for the happy melody.
好，答案是 D， 制造出快乐旋律的生物。
2, among the following features of the robin, which ones make them easily recognizable?
下列知更鸟的特色当中，哪一些让它们容易辨认？
1, appearance.
外表。
2, diet.
饮食。
3, habitat.
栖地。
4, egg color.
蛋的颜色。
5, Christmas role.
圣诞角色。
6, migration patterns.
迁徙模式。
7, singing ability.
唱歌能力。
The answer is 1, 4, and 7, so it's letter B. So their appearance,
外表
their egg color,
蛋的颜色
right, and their singing ability are the most notable features of the robin.
还有唱歌能力，这是让他们最容易辩论的，所以答案是 B 我们选项是1、4、7。
All right, number 3, why are Britain and America mentioned in the passage?
为何这个文中提到了英国和美国？
The answer is D, to show the importance of the robin in certain places.
好，答案是 D， 为了显示知更鸟在某些地方的重要性。
And finally 4, which of the following statements about robins is not true?
下列关于知更鸟的叙述何者错误？
The answer is A, their picture was featured prominently on postman uniforms. That's not true.
答案是 A 因为 A 说他们的图画被显眼地放在邮差制服上。
That's it for today. Remember to do an image search on robin's eggs. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.